Alright, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the TMossBoss Show. And in today's episode, this is honestly one of the most hardest episodes I've had to record. I've done multiple takes, and this is definitely this is probably going to be the most controversial episode that I record for this podcast. But just cutting straight into it because this is a hard episode to record. Not telling somebody that you had a sex change, overall, a partner or significant other, you get into a relationship and then you've had a sex change and you did not tell that person. Me personally, if somebody would ask me how do I feel about that, I think it's wrong. I personally think that it's wrong. Because I do feel like that honesty should be one of the first things in a relationship. So, if I had a past, or if I, because I feel like the only thing that I really could compare to this that I can think of is, what if I had, a criminal history? And I'm not saying, that's equivalent, but I'm just saying, that level of excitement that you'll get from, hearing something. I feel like that's the only thing that could compare to it. And if the girl that I'm talking to is I don't date guys that's, was in prison or any of that stuff, okay, my thing is this, I have to respect that. I feel like that you should always respect a person's, especially if it's something, because I feel like people are going to say that that's a little bit hypocritical when I was getting on the one guy for turning down people because of the color of their skin. But I just feel like that something like that, you can clearly see if a person, they're not hiding. I'm not hiding that I'm black, okay? And a white person can't hide the fact that they're white. A Hispanic person can't hide the fact that they're Hispanic, and so on and so on. But I feel like something like that and the reason why I'm doing this is because I see a lot of people in the when they transition into another gender and stuff, I see where they'll post about this on social media this person don't know that I'm that I used to be a man, or I'm trans, and and it's stuff like that where it's fam, why not just tell them? It's stuff like that, because I'm my thing is this, I feel like the more honest that you are, then I feel like that, overall you're going to find a person that that really wants to be with you and stuff. But you can try dating websites or whatever, but I just feel like that not telling somebody something like that, that, I feel like that's why you can't necessarily compare a person's, race to their gender, because a person, it's obvious that somebody can, hide their gender and stuff if they're making whole videos about it. But I feel like that if I were to, I don't know, maybe it might catch the same reaction, maybe it might not, maybe a lot of people might find it funny and stuff. And I didn't even bother to check the comments of that video and things, but I personally think that it's wrong. I feel like if you're gonna be honest in a relationship, you're gonna be honest, and it's and that's why I'm saying with the race thing, it's I'm being honest about I have no choice but to be honest about my race. If a girl approaches me, she's all hey, what's your race? And I'm all well, I think it's clear as day and it's almost as dark as night. You can't really hide that. So that's why with somebody that's transitioning to another gender and things, I feel like something like that, if you're not sure, if you don't know, and then they're not trying to tell you that, I feel like that's wrong. I personally do feel like that's wrong. And then to brag about it on social media, that's why I feel like that is much more wrong than because you don't hear nobody bragging or oh, this girl don't know that she's dating a white guy, she don't know she's dating a Hispanic guy, she thinks I'm this, she think you can't do that, at some point in time that, you can't do that. And then it's with genders, it's it's a person can, honestly, they doing it and because they posting about it on social media and stuff. But yeah, I just think that it's it's wrong. And see, here's the thing, because people are probably wondering oh, what would you do in a situation like that? And I definitely, would, there's something like that. It's you can't just make clear, you can't just, come out and just ask a woman, hey, did you used to be a man? You won't necessarily know until, you see each other go to the same restroom or something, or I don't know, like you just find out one day or find out when you guys getting ready to sleep with each other, but something like that, it's like I feel like that it should be told from that person, like, hey, letting you know, like, I have, like, some parts. And it's because I really don't know how that conversation would go. But at the end of the day, I do feel like something like that should be told to me, because it's like my thing is like if there was something that I was hiding, I would, I'm pretty sure they would want to know something that I'm hiding. So I'm like, why do you, because that would be my question. It's like, why do you feel like you need to hide that? And if there's, if you're all like, because everybody turns me down, it's like, fam, that's rejections. That is life. Like, you can't be upset over the fact that you get rejected a lot. It's like, okay, you get rejected a lot. A lot of people get rejected. I've legit been rejected because of the color of my skin. So I'm like, there's been times where I've been rejected and I don't know why I was rejected. It's like, yeah, you look at yourself, you're a nice person, you don't do anything to hurt nobody's feelings, you don't say anything to hurt anybody's feelings, but you still get rejected. That is life. I have done numerous episodes where I've talked on my own personal rejections, and I'm not going, my thing is this, if you're doing it to, to alter, I guess, like, doing it to gain people's attention or whatever, you should never, change your gender and stuff for other people's attention. If they can't accept you for you, then yeah, that's, it's messed up. You're overall around the wrong people. But if a person can accept you for you, those are the people that you need to be talking to. Those are the people that you need to be around. I'm saying those are the ones you need to be in a relationship with. But, and I've heard stories where, like, guys have, like, overall, like, somebody that's transitioned into a woman, and then they hadn't told the guy at the last second, or they hadn't been, like, kissing, or, overall, like, having some sort of relationship and things, and then tell them, like, hey, I used to be a man. Like, I've heard situations where it did not go good for the person that transitioned. And I'm like, and that's something where, that should never happen to a person that they, get beaten or, their life, if somebody's trying to, like, take their life over some stuff like that. But I'm like, hey, if you don't tell somebody like that and then they have that crazy over the top reaction, it's like, that's what you're going to have to, because my thing is this, what would you say is much more harder to deal with? Telling a person, that, hey, I used to be a man or I used to be a woman and things, or overall, like, fighting for your life because you done told this person at the last second after you guys done hug, kiss, hung out, posted about each other on social media. Like, I feel like, you don't tell somebody something like that and they find out. It's like, it's kind of like equivalent to, when somebody finds out that their significant other is cheating. Like, you're going to have, like, an over-the-top reaction because it's that, there ain't no honesty in that relationship. So it's like, if my thing is this, to talk to those that, do that and stuff. You don't tell the person that, hey, I used to be, the opposite sex that I am right now and stuff. Like, how would you feel if somebody wasn't being honest with you in a relationship? Like, okay, you tell them that, and then that person was all like, oh yeah, I used to kill people for a living, and I kind of somewhat think about it, from time to time. You're gonna look like, wait a minute, what? Like, and that's something where it's like, if you accept that, then that's on you. But me, I'm gonna be like, okay, this person, that don't seem right. I'm all like, they the way they said that, they seem like they might go around and start killing again, and so. But I'm saying, it's like, that's why I'm like, overall the point that I'm trying to make is like, like, honesty should always be one of the first things, like, because even like right now, it's like, it is super hard for me to be honest about this topic, but I have no choice. Do I accept that type of stuff? What, and like, and I think that's who I was overall talking on. It's like, how would I overall react to something like that? I probably would have a reaction to it. I probably would, but I really would try my hardest not to, like, physically put my hands on somebody. But it's like, like I said, it's equivalent to, like, when you're not honest with a person, and it's like that hits home for people. It's like, especially if they deal with a lot of people that ain't honest with them, and then they just have that one, like, final, like, snapping moment and things. I'm saying, like, I've dealt with people that has not been honest with me. And yeah, it sucks. And then I feel like with something like this, I'm like, nah, that's a big thing right there. You know? So I'm saying like it's stuff like that where it's like, nah, you have to tell a person. It's like because if you going around like making it seem like, oh yeah, like just you're making it seem like that you've always have been a woman. And I'm trying to avoid saying that because I know that a lot of times, like when they get those sex changes, like it's because they say that they like ever since they were a kid or for however long they've always have felt like a woman or they've always felt like a man, so that's why they get those transitions. And I'm like, I'm not trying to offend you on that, but I'm just saying it's stuff like that where it's like, somebody like me ain't gonna see that, and it's something like that where it's like, it's kind of hard to accept. Like, and I know people are probably thinking like, oh, okay, like I got beef with all like people that transition. I'm like, no, I don't. I have no beef at all with people that transition. I'm like, I will be friends with you. I will hang out with you. I'm like, we can record podcast episodes, YouTube videos, TikToks, whatever it is. Like, my thing is like, I don't have a whole lot of friends that have transitioned, but I'm saying like, I would be friends with somebody if because my thing is this, like at my old job, there were people that was there that, you can clearly see that they've had a transition and stuff. And I'm like, fam, I have no problems with that. I had no issues with that whatsoever. I was like, we were sitting there cracking jokes, laughing about stuff. I was like, there was no attitude from me to them. And I'm all like, and I'm cool with that. Because that's something, it's all like, if they, and then my thing is this, like, if I feel like somebody that is honest with me and that tells me like, hey, I used to, like, if I can't really see, like, if they tell me like, hey, I used to be a man or I used to be a woman, I'm like, oh, dang, I feel like that's a conversation started. It's all like, oh, okay, that's chill. So like, what was, the big, because I feel like stuff like that should be talked on, but I feel like it's one of those things where like it's like one of those like, a topic that you avoid and stuff. And so I'm like, nah, it's like, my thing is like, I feel like if that's how you want to like get through life, because I feel like there's always steps and things that you gotta like, take and things to get through life. And I feel like having one of those conversations and breaking that barrier to people where you feel comfortable telling them that, then it's like, I feel like life will be a lot easier and stuff. So yeah, I just feel like stuff like that, you gotta tell people. You can't necessarily hide it, because if you hide it, like I've heard stories and situations where like people have been like beaten within an inch of their life over that, and I'm pretty sure there's stories of where people have lost their life because they didn't tell that person, and then they waited until they got in bed and they're like, oh yeah, by the way, and then after this they had like a long like romantic night and things. Like, yeah, it's like, it's stuff like that. It's like, you should always tell a person something like that. It's something where it's like, you shouldn't hide it. And yeah, you overall got to tell people stuff like that. Because if not, then it's going to be a much, much more worse situation rather than just telling them and stuff. So yeah, tell them those things. It's definitely a thing to do if you trying to start a relationship. And if they reject you, they reject you. It's like, you gotta accept that. I've literally been rejected because of the color of my skin. I have no control over that. Like, my thing is this, because I feel like with somebody, if you transition, you can, like, if you want to, you can go back to, being the sex that you was born as or whatever and stuff. You can do that if you want to. I can't, like, fam, go and bleach my skin and then I'm sitting here, like, looking weird and stuff? Like, nah, it's like, and then end up having, like, some sort of skin disease because I'm saying, like, that, it ain't gonna work. Like, my thing is this, and I'm not saying it as a bad thing, but I'm literally stuck being black, though, my whole life. Like, this is it, fam. This is what I've been born into. I can't do nothing about that. I can't change documents and papers saying, oh yes, I would like to be referred to as Asian now or Caucasian or Hispanic. I can't do that. I'm legit stuck being black my whole. Maybe I could be like in a movie where it takes place in like Mexico, and then they're all like, oh yeah, you're you're that dark Hispanic guy. He looks black, but he's really Hispanic. You don't say anything. That's as far as I'm gonna go. That's it. One of them background actors in the movie. But other than that, it's like, fam, like in reality though, like for real, like nah, this is me for the rest of my life, and I can't do nothing about it. And there's people that legit like have said, like, oh, yeah, because you're black, I can't be with you. Like I'm saying, like, that's tough on a person. So yeah, it's it's one of those things. You just gotta deal with it. You just gotta deal with rejections and stuff. But man, this episode was hard to record. I'm like, bro, this is one of those episodes where it's like, dang, man, like, I wanted to avoid it, but at the same time, I'm like, I know at some point in time I had to talk about it and stuff, so. But anyways, and that being said, I will talk to y'all later. I ain't going to do no promo stuff because I feel like this is a serious topic. So anyways, thank you guys for tuning in for today's episode, and peace. We'll be right back.